Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Power Lunch Live. My name is Andrea from Altitude Connections. Welcome to all our listeners. Today, we will be featuring and speaking to our lovely guest, Aiesha Robinson. She is known as a teen coach, a model, and speaker who turned her diagnosis of vitiligo into a source of empowerment and inspiration. Confronted with the bullying and challenges, Aiesha chose self love, transforming her life and career. She famously says, vitiligo was once my curse. Now it's become my biggest blessing. Choosing to love the skin I am in transformed my life. As the founder of the nonprofit Born to Rise, Aiesha provides a live platform for others to share their stories of overcoming adversity, inspiring countless individuals. Today, she empowers teens to build confidence and resilience, breaks barriers in the fashion industry, and shares her compelling story on stages across North America. Her journey is a testament to the power of embracing one's uniqueness and turning pain into power. Aiesha, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Of course. Thank you for accepting it. Aiesha, you mentioned the word power a few times, and it must be very powerful what you went through. Your story of being diagnosed with vitiligo at 18 is incredibly powerful. How did that experience shape your mission to turn pain into power?
So I would say being diagnosed with vitiligo was the first major challenge that I've ever faced in life.
Okay.
It's not easy when one day you wake up and you're one complexion, and then slowly you're watching it go away. So as
Mm-hmm.
you can see, I have it on my face, on my hands, on my elbows, and on my feet. And at the time of my diagnosis, there was no Winnie Harlow. There was no one that was positively representing people with vitiligo and saying that it's okay to be comfortable in your skin. So I did not have that role model, and I think because of that, it led me to go into a depressive state, where it went as far as for me contemplating suicide. But I
Oh,
reached out for help. Yeah, I reached out for help, and I spoke to my brother and I told him how I was feeling. And that's when he basically told me that, we are the ones in control of what life design, what we make out of our circumstances. So that's when I realized, you know what, I'm going to take this opportunity. It's something that I can't change, I have to live with. So I'm going to take this pain and turn it into a power by sharing my story and letting people know that, hey, this is what it is. So they don't go off of ignorance, but more off of education. And once I started to share my story, that's when, people started to accept me, but I also started to accept myself at the same time.
right. You need to accept yourself
Yeah.
too. But you mean you didn't have a mentor? You didn't have a coach? No?
No, I
Oh,
didn't
that
have
must have been
anything.
hard.
Yeah, and when I would like Google on YouTube, I'd go on YouTube and I would
Mm-hmm.
look for people with vitiligo, all I was seeing was people in Africa that would be shunned from their communities for having vitiligo.
Okay.
And yeah, so, and it's something that actually still happens till this day. So there was nobody that I can turn to and say like, hey, can you help me get through this? Um, my grandfather has it as well, rest in peace. And he
Okay.
was somebody that would also take the time to cover up his vitiligo. I have another friend that has vitiligo of lighter complexion, and she would also take the time to cover it up. So there is no one around me saying you are fine just the way you are.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Wow. And can you talk about it for a moment? When did you realize the impact of your story of living with it was, impacting on others?
So I realized when when I made the decision that I'm going to start sharing my story, I got my first speaking opportunity from my friend's mother, who was an elementary elementary school teacher.
Okay.
And she asked me if I wanted to come speak to the students. And I was terrified
I'm
because,
sure.
yeah, for one, public speaking, believe it or not, I know it's something I do today, but it's always been my biggest fear, speaking
Wow.
publicly. And to pair it with speaking in front of an audience that I feared most, because you know how
Mm-hmm.
kids, they don't hold back. So they're going to share what's on their mind. And
That's right.
oftentimes it would be the kids that would make me feel uncomfortable by pointing at me, making rude comments. So I was definitely scared speaking in front of them, but the love that I received and the acceptance that they brought up upon me, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect to have that type of response. And when they started to open up about their own stories, I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm meant to do, is share my story. And I took
Mm-hmm.
it further by, start sharing on social media, and the overpouring of messages I would receive from people saying that how much I've helped them through their own journey of vitiligo and of just self-acceptance in all,
That's right.
just choosing to love themselves.
Right. Well, first you're teaching them to break the fear,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're teaching them to voice out in public, and then they get all that love and support. So you're creating like a support community, basically, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's wonderful. And okay, so and how do you incorporate your personal story of overcoming adversity into your work with teens and in your public speaking engagements? So why did you target the teens? Because you choose to, or what drove you that way?
So I think what geared me, at first I was kind of lost with my message because I didn't like, I wanted to help everyone, especially women in
Mm.
general. But the more I went into these schools and I would share my message, and then when the teens would come up to me afterwards and they're like, I didn't really know anything about self-love or confidence, and your story empowered me. I just wanted to more, and because when I speak in front of an audience of like 100 to 200, sometimes 500 students, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
I don't have that one-on-one effect with them. And if there's one thing that I wish I knew when I was younger, when I was their age, it was the importance of self-love and acceptance, because I really do believe that's the foundation of happiness. That's the foundation of you living the best version of yourself. So my mission is to teach them this from a younger age. That way, when they're faced with adversity, they love themselves enough to overcome the whatever situation that is brought upon them.
Right, absolutely. So that's the key message you're trying to share.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
It's self-love, confidence, because I believe they go hand in hand. You can't have
Yes.
real confidence without self-love.
True.
And bullying, that's another aspect of my story that I don't really, it's not related to vitiligo. I was bullied before, and I was the bully at one point. So I find
Oh,
I resonate with the students when I talk from the perspective of being the bully and being bullied, because I can
okay.
relate, and my message tends to resonate with them.
Wow. You have a lot of messages to
Yeah,
share.
I do.
Okay, so can you share a memorable experience from one of your school presentations that had a significant impact on a student or students?
I remember last year I went to a high school, and the minute I walked into the doors, I noticed a kid with vitiligo, and it
Okay,
was more apparent. It was probably 60% of his body.
okay.
And I did my speech, so I did like the first grade 7 and 8, and then I had another presentation for the older students.
Mm-hmm.
And during my intermission, that student came up to me to show me that he had vitiligo and to tell me about how he was being bullied and people would call him all sorts of names. So I took it personal and I was like, all right, I got you, don't worry. So for the older kids, he was sitting in on the presentation, and I made it apparent to talk about, accepting everybody for who they are as they come, but also I emphasized on vitiligo. And after my talk, he came up to me. He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, everybody is coming up to me and tell me my vitiligo is so beautiful. It's like I'm famous or something.
Oh,
And that just like touched like I literally cried because I was like, oh my gosh, he feels seen finally. You know what I mean? I was able to tell his parents what vitiligo is instead of having them speak out of ignorance.
right. That's amazing. And that's why, so your target is teens, right? That's where you help them the
That's
most?
my domain. Yes,
That's your
I was.
domain?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you
Yeah.
become a coach?
Just recent in May is when I officially made the launch. So
Okay.
right now I'm working with 5 teens at a time, and I work alongside the parents. So I more work as a guide rather than a therapist because I don't have the credentials of that. I'm really more of just a guide as to how to get you to love yourself, working and supporting the parent as well.
Oh, okay. So you deal with the parents as well.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. And what would be your biggest challenges you see in teens facing today? And how does your coaching address to these issues?
It is insane how many of our youths have anxiety. Uh,
Mm,
that is the most common thing that I've been seeing is the
really?
anxiety that they live with. Yeah, and also low self-esteem, and it's all from today's pressure of not only your peers in person, but on social media as well. Trying to keep up with the Joneses,
Right. And
for lack of a
try to
better term.
fit in?
Exactly,
Mm,
exactly.
um,
So that's why I think my message of getting to getting them, reeling them back in to the foundation of who they are and getting them to realize how who they are right now is enough. Falling in love and accepting yourself so that you don't worry about what other people think.
True, true. But the anxiety, do you think that started a lot after COVID?
Absolutely.
Really? We were talking about anxiety and
Yeah.
that the teens have that a lot. And how do people book you? Like if they want to, they need you as a coach or for speaking engagements, do they just reach out straight to you?
Yeah, so you can definitely reach out to me via Instagram or on my website. You can go to www.aiesharobinson.com.
Okay.
And then there's a form where you can fill out for any requests in regards to teen coaching or booking me as a speaker.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
Since we have a little bit of time, do you want to tell us a little bit about the nonprofit Born to Rise? What is
Yeah.
it about?
Yes. So I actually started Born to Rise in 2015, and this was
Okay.
based off of um, me wanting to give a platform for other people to share their stories. After
Okay.
I realized the power and the impact that my story had, I was like, hey, if I give a platform for other people to share their stories going through whatever adversity, going through whatever adversity that they're going through, we can help more people, right? Because more people would be
Mm-hmm.
able to relate to all different stories. So it's an annual show that happens in Montreal, and we have about 200 to 300 guests that come out.
Okay.
Um, Unfortunately, we did have to cancel the show for this year, but we're hoping to be back up and running for 2025 in the springtime.
Okay, that
Yeah.
would be great. And you're going to be sharing that on your page as well.
Exactly, on both my personal and then on my Born to Rise page, which is borntorise.mtl.
Okay, wonderful. Well, for the ones who couldn't join our Power Lunch Live, this podcast is going to be transferred to Spotify and YouTube, so anybody can jump in and listen to it again. It was great great having you. Thank you for giving me the time. I really appreciate it, Aiesha.
Thank you so much. It's an honor because I see the guests that you have on here. So to be among them and to have you want to have me on, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course. You're welcome. My pleasure. Wishing you a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
Likewise.
Okay.
You too. Bye.
Take care. Bye.